The first question that I received was, when is it okay to see a therapist? Like they're not at the level to be going out and about just yet. What would your professional advice be for that?
Well, first of all, I guess I would ask the person back, or just saying, is the stigma coming from yourself or your family? Because now we're a lot more with family, right? And perhaps there was some pressure on, oh, you don't need a therapist. If like, we're talking about certain demographics, like, or ethnic groups like Asian Americans, where it's very prevalent to have the stigma and be like, you're fine. You should be able to take care of it, or we can handle it. You don't need therapy. And they also may not understand therapy. So that's one. I would always ask, is the stigma coming from yourself? And believe it or not, even though you could be as young as a college kid or a teenager and still have your own stigma, like still go, oh, you're in therapy. You might have your own bias, even if you don't know it. And I want to say that's called like unconscious bias, right? So I would ask those questions back. However, this is probably a perfect time to get therapy. There is, like I always say, that nobody has ever lived through a pandemic unless you're old enough to have lived through the Spanish flu and the stay-at-home order and quarantine, and then being with family, which adds all this added stress. College students learning online. I mean, you never thought that would happen, or full-time anyway, online learning. So if you feeling like you, and it comes to your mind going, I think I need help outside of my friends and family, I do want therapy. I think that follow your gut, and you can definitely seek services. And here's the thing. We are in phase 2 in North Carolina, but many therapists, including myself, offer teletherapy. You
Mm.
can do online therapy. And yes, this is the digital age, and it can be effective. The therapist will tell you whether or not, okay, after assessing you, I might need to see you in person. And just so you know, therapists are essential workers. So they can go see you in person as long as they know you're healthy, right? And
Right.
you're going to let them know if you're sick, but they can see you in person if that is the client's wish. But generally speaking, yeah, you can do a teletherapy. I've started a couple new clients just because I'm trying to be open to helping what's going on. And I would most certainly say, don't wait too long. Don't wait to the point that you're getting into the point where it's escalated, or you're even in crisis because you held it together so long. So if you actually recognize it, great first step. And you can definitely get therapy now, and it doesn't have to be in person. And I was also going to say, it really depends on the therapist, because there's some therapists out there that will tell you, oh, I'll definitely take you. We can do teletherapy. However, just to let you know, for now, because of COVID still being a little bit unstable, I may not take in-person services, because there is a risk still. You're in close quarters in a closed office that's confidential, and the air circulate. We got to think very
Mhm.
safely. So, but yes, no, you can. We are essential workers, and therapy and mental health is a huge priority. So I definitely think now is the time, probably the best time. And
Mhm.
you're going to see a lot of clinicians that will make time because they know what's going on.
If there are little to no options for therapy or getting help around you, what are other options that you can seek out?
Wow. So I guess I have to understand the context, but I would hope there would be more options. I would say it always begins with who you know. So maybe if you have a friend who's in college with you that's in the psychology department, you could start with that student, asking that person, do you know like a professor that I might reach out to, who might be able to give me those resources, especially if you're in the field of psychology. Departments at colleges are well connected, and they should have resources. So I would start there in your own college circle. I'm assuming colleges, because we're essential workers, that college counseling is also available. I would start with your college. I would start where you're at. I would start with, even if you can, family members that, like cousins who are doctors. Doctors tend to work with therapists. Um, Anybody you know, we are more connected than we think. And that's the first thing that's good, that you go to somebody you know, or a connection, if you trust them to be able to be like, hey, I'm looking for resources. So that's the first one. Second one, there's so many things online. But if you're on Facebook, there are tons of Asian mental health services or general mental health services, as in groups that you can even go on. If it's a public page, with most are, you can even do an all call saying, I need some resources on racial trauma. I think that's a term I really want to know. I'm in New York, and I see this all the time. And therapists are on there, and one of us will either upload something on Facebook or answer the question. So you get some free services. So social media is pretty cool that way. there is something called Ask a Therapist. I have tons of associations nationally that are part of that, and then therapists like us are starting to start our own YouTube shows together to do the very thing where some people may not afford it, just don't have accessibility. They also have stigma in their family. That's why we decided to start a show where we offer some free, free skills and free feedback from our expertise, but also be real at the same time.